Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to Battle of the Giant Rider Mechs. Today's feature, Castle Doran versus the Revolgarry. And we have a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's start with the packaging. Now, this is a toy that I got a little while ago for $13. That's how bad this thing sold. And I can understand why, because I don't know what it does. I'm probably going to figure out once it's out of the box, but I don't know what it does. And so we're going to go on a journey together and figure out what this toy does. Something about 10, something about sounds. Got a nice little picture of Kiva here, though. I think he's holding the Castle Doran fossil too. GX Castle Doran. I mean, he obviously spit something out, and it's got something to do with his chandelier. And his head moves. I don't really know what he does. I think he kind of like shoots out figures or something. Kind of like that he does in the show. On this side, you can see he gets a little demonic. I'm going to avoid that image, but you can see he does stuff. He looks cool. I mean, he's Castle Doran. He can't be all that bad. I don't really know what he does. You can put little there's like mini figures of Kiva and what does this toy do? I hope I can figure it out. This is going to take some while to figure out, because I really don't know what this does. You attach Doran, I know that much. It's crazy because Doran, who appeared in the show less than Castle Doran, sold out before him. And on this side, you see he's got pods and he's got little figures. So I'm thinking he shoots out the little figures through the pods. So, let's look at the bottom. That's a nice little picture of real Kiva and toy Castle Doran. So, let's see what this thing does, because I don't think anyone really knows, and I think that's the whole problem behind it not selling at all. As you can see, this is a very large box, as it outgrows my set. I can't get it in frame if I tried. So, yeah, let's back the camera up and we'll look at the box. Here you get a nice little drawing of the Revolgarry. It's 400 millimeters long. You've got the hard boilder, the hard tabula, the hard splasher, Gaia memory. Wonder what that's about. Bandai. On the bottom, you've got a picture of the Revolgarry's toy plus the 3 attachments for the bike. Same thing on the top. On this side, you've got half the Revolgarry where you can see the hard splasher unit. On this side, you got the side with the tubular unit, so that's cool. And on the back, you got a list of features that I'm going to go over in as much detail as I feel necessary. As you can tell, there is parts of this box wearing away. That's because I got this thing a long time ago. So, yeah. So, the packaging category, I gotta say, the Revolgarry wins. It displays the contents of the box very nicely. It explains the gimmick pretty well, and it's got some neat artwork. Moving on to assembly. Here's Castle Doran's parts. There's a lot. First we're going to take these out of the way because it's part of the whole gimmick of the toy. And we're going to take these out of the way because it's part of the whole gimmick of the toy. And I just lost one, that's not good. And let's assemble this bad boy. And now, on the other side of things, we have the Revolgarry, which has a lot less parts than Castle Doran. That's for sure. First, we're going to take these 2 parts out of the way, because that's part of the gimmick. And let's go. block. So who wins in the assembly category? Again, the point goes to the Revolgarry. So that is 2 Revolgarrys, 0 Castle Doran. I'm sorry, buddy. Not much else to say. The Revolgarry took me less than a minute to put together. Castle Doran took a minute and a half. The Revolgarry took longer in actual time because I was stupid and didn't know how to put these on right. But if I follow the directions, this still took less time than this, especially since this had a lot more parts. So now, we should go on to detail. So here we go with the detail section. I'm going to give you nice close-ups of all the little details on Castle Doran. This is a nice, great purple color on the actual toy. It's got some green here. The face is mostly show accurate. It is kind of like he's sleeping, which causes problems later. But he's got a couple gold teeth. His mouth does open a little bit and be like, "Rawr, Castle Doran." You can see you've got some mechanical workings here, and then you got his legs, which it seems only one of these is painted in the show. There's more paint details, definitely. You can see some chains. Those are really nice looking details. It's just a lot of it isn't painted. Like, these chains should be silver. It's kind of sloppy considering this is a Bandai of Japan toy. I'd expect a little bit more. And moving around to the back, the most inaccurate detail of the whole thing, the battery compartment and electronic switch. Let's just ignore that, but still it looks kind of bad. They didn't incorporate the design very well. Got his little tail here, which, yeah, it looks nice. The speaker is cleverly located inside of a window. Got clear plastic windows right here that looks inside, where you can see there is 7 inaccurate little divots. Actually, this whole interior is not to show scale or accuracy. That matters. There's a little Kiba logo right there. I've got one of the turrets, which is a actual missile launcher, in fact. And I have lost one of the missiles already. I apologize. It looks just like that, except over here. I got the tiny little wings that still make them fly somehow. But it's kind of a square design when you look at it. I mean, the only things protruding are really the missile launchers and the wings. Everything else kind of is a boxy design. On this side, you don't have windows. You have a cage. Kind of would have liked windows on this side, too. Not really sure why they didn't go with that. But it's overall cool for those details. Now looking at the top of the toy, you've got horrible inaccurate slots, but it's required for the gimmick, which it's a very complicated one. You've got the little miniature dragon up here, which looks just right, except for these parts. These parts are inaccurate, but again, it's sacrificing that for the gimmick. Got a little house up here, which shouldn't move, but it's required for the gimmick, but it does work into the design. And you got this little house top thing up here, which is perfectly accurate. What's not accurate is the fact that it comes off, but that is for purposes later. So yeah, not the most show accurate toy, but it does an okay job. And it's mostly because it has so many gimmicks. Now the detail section of our second competitor, the Revolgarry. Now, this thing looks great. It's impressive, just like the Revolgarry in the show. Now, it's not fully accurate to the one in the show. That's because there is some sacrifice for the gimmick, but not as many as Castle Doran. As you can see here, you've got the little jewel. You got the windows, which emulate Double's eyes. You got these supports that emulate Double's antennas. It's very much Double's vehicle, and you can tell that right off the bat. You've got 2 little spots that look like headlights that are molded in there, but they look nice. You've got big old tires, which there is 8 of them, which is a perfect amount of that goes in the show. You got some guard railings. You get really close. There is some nice detail right here. It looks good. The orange paint is perfect color for what this is trying to accomplish. Just looking at the show. Now the handle section here should not have this little miniature handle here. It should only have this big part. I cannot see anywhere on the show where this little handle is actually there. This side looks exactly the same as the other side. Another inaccurate notch is these little notches on the side here, but that is for gimmicks later. But the back of the Revolgarry looks pretty good aside from screw holes. And there is one other thing. There's a no baby sign. I have this problem with some of the other toys of recent times. That being the DX Mahauken from Gokaiger. He's got one of those too. See the little baby? Yeah. Means don't put the baby on here. It's not going to end well. And you've got this mysterious gap. That's not show accurate, but it is for Gimmick. Now the Revolgarry does have a secondary mode. It's a base mode. So to put it into base mode, all I gotta do is hit this little switch here, and these will open up, and this ramp will come down. Now this is without any parts of the hard-boiled or inside, but you can see that the details are perfectly reimagined. The ramp, it does go. Now the only details that I see are wrong is the fact that this part here, but that's to hold in the bike, and I can't fault it too much for that. But you do have some nice engraved detail down here. It's really hard to get the camera there to see. This also does not. This also does move, but it should do more of that, not that. That's just going too far. But that's really nitpicky. Overall, if I do this right, overall, the Revolgarry is pretty much the closest show accurate that it could probably get without sacrificing the gimmick, which without the gimmick, this toy would be boring. So yeah, it looks really nice. So, in details category, who gets to the point? Well, Castle Doran has a nice little mold details. A lot of them aren't painted in where they should be, and it doesn't look fully show accurate. The Revolgarry, on the other hand, is got perfect details. It's as show accurate as possible without losing, without getting rid of the gimmick. And so, the point goes to the Revolgarry. So we have Revolgarry 3, the Castle Doran 0. So, yeah, poor Castle Doran, you're not winning very much. But it is time to go to the accessories. So, Castle Doran's accessories include 10 awesome things and 7 things. First up, let's get these out of the way. You get 7 Doran pods. They are little pods. They open up. There's a little peg down there. And there's a magnet on top. These are required for Castle Doran's main gimmick. They work in conjunction with the 10 cool things from the set, the 10 minifigures. Now, Kiva is one of those commoner shows that has not gotten figure arts of everything yet. It really did not get Shotaku henshins of everything, for that matter. And we never really got a figure of his bike. But what you have here is you have 10 minifigures. You got 5 statues and 5 Kivas. First up, we have Little Mini Kivat. This is adorable. I've always wanted a Kivat toy without actually having to buy the belt, and I have one right here. There's a little hole on the bottom of each of them so they can plug in multiple places. But it's a little miniature Kivat. He is adorable. I love this little figure. He is amazing. Now, unfortunately, he's not in scale with this all cool Kiva form. Who is this nice black paint. They even painted his chest red with silver. And they painted a little Kivat's belt. This is incredible. This figure is probably not even an inch tall. I mean, it is tiny, tiny, tiny. So tiny that, let me grab something that I know a lot of people have. A Ranger key. Look how tiny this is compared to a Ranger key. Thus, everything here is, all little Kivas are almost in scale. We're perfect in scale with Castle Doran. This is cool. This is awesomeness. So, yeah, that's a really nice little figure of Kiva. Now, Kivat is a little big, but he's adorable, so he's forgiven. And this thing's a little small. We'll get to that. You get the Garuru statue, which becomes the Garuru saber. It's also nicely done. This is these are probably the coolest part of the set, I gotta say. But you can see it is definitely the Guru Saber. It is close to figure art scale, so I'm hoping that when we get some Kiva figure arts, that they might be compatible with Castle Doran. We shall see, but you can see there, he is pretty cool as a little statue. And of course, to go with the Guru Saber, you get Kamen Kiva Garuru form, which they painted the belt, they painted the eyes, they painted his arm blue with his saber. Now, unfortunately, there's a little QC problem. His legs are warped, so he's leaning forward consistently, so it gets him hard to stand even when he's pegged into things. Next up, you have the Basha statue for Basha Magnum, which, man, this thing looks cool again. They did a great job on these minifigures, and I am perfectly pleased. Almost makes me want to track down Shudran and Power Dixa just for their minifigures. And then Kiva Basha form. The chest is painted, the shoulder pad is painted a different color, surprisingly. And his eyes are painted and belt are painted. It's not focusing, so I'm going to stop trying. You also get the Dogga statue, which turns into the Dogga hammer, and again, a perfect figure. It looks nice, considering how small it is. And of course, you get Kamen Rider Kiva Dogga form, with the hammer above his head, and the purple all over the place. The purple's a little off color from the show, but it's okay. You also get the Doran booster, useless thing. Yeah, and you get the Doran statue to go with Kiva's bike with the Doran booster, which you can see there is, they did mold in a little Kiva. I mean, there's a piece of plastic to hold it together because it is tiny, and by no means is this in scale. So Kiva and the Doran booster are out of scale. Not only with each other, with everything else, because there's Kiva, those do not match up, but they'd be roughly the same size so they could fit inside the pods, which we'll get to in the Gimmick section. But it's kind of neat having a little figure of Kiva's bike. So yeah, I gotta say, these are some pretty good accessories. Can you double top this? So the Revolgarry comes with 2 accessories, which are part of the Gimmick, but they're considered accessories. According to some Japanese, let's move that out of the way first. You get a half of a motorcycle, the hard part of the hard-boiled or tubular and splasher. It's the front half of the bike. You can push these buttons, and that's about it. And the wheel turns. But yeah, basically this isn't anything you could use outside of the Revolgarry. It's half of a bike. You do get, though, a cool little double figure. Now, I'm going to say this right away, this is more scaled to Kiwami Tamashii size, not actual figure arts. But it's a little double, and he's going vroom vroom, double vroom vroom when he's not on the bike. And they did a good job. I mean, it sadly doesn't look as good as the Kiva figures. The Kiva figures are miniature. I mean, here's miniature Kiva next to miniature double. It's not even the size of his leg. And yeah, the face sculpt is okay, but like the way he's posed, and he can't be posed any other way. But yeah, he fits on to the bike. There's holes in his knees so they can plug in to there, and he can hold the handlebars, and now he's like, yay, half a bike. Yeah, no. So, accessories wise, which of these 2 Giant Rider Mechs wins? Point goes to Castle Doran. Castle Doran not only has more accessories, he has cooler ones. An arrangement of 10 minifigures that can be used with the castle and alone, even. Versus the Revolgarry, which is half a bike with Kamen Rider double stuck to it. So, point goes to Revolgarry. Point goes to Castle Doran. So the score is 3 Revolgarry, 1 Castle Doran. Let's see the deciding factor when we go to the Gimmick. Alright, so we're going to go with the Gimmicks for Castle Doran. To do that, we need to go to the top of the castle. We're going to go through the minor gimmicks. Minor gimmick number 1, missile launchers. Kaboom. These go everywhere. I've already lost one of them, like I said. But if I just keep it on this side, it's okay. Minor gimmick number 2. You can open up this, and there is little spots inside to put minifigures. So you could say, I don't like you, Doran Booster. You can just hide in here and forget that you exist. And then it goes right over. So Doran Booster is out of existence. You get little spots to put the minifigures. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could be like a little Keyvet. A little gigantic Keyvet can go there. Kiva can sit up here. And then for funsies, even though it breaks the laws of Kiva, you can have a Basha form there, Dolga form there, and Garuru form up here. So that's neato. You can have all the figures. Typically, this is what I do. I just kind of take these guys, throw them in here with Doran Booster. They just all kind of chill out. And boom, you got Kiva riding Castle Doran up there. I think that's cool, actually, if you move them up a little bit. So we're going to leave them up there. Now, here's the main gimmick of Castle Doran. The 7 Doran pods I mentioned earlier come into play, finally. Now, we're going to go through this without the sound effects at first. So basically, here's the gimmick. You take a pod, you squeeze it, it pops open. There's a little peg in there. There's a hole there, you put this down into there, and now you got the Garuru statue loaded in a Doran pod. So then, next step is you grasp this, the window's open. Now, you got 7 slots for the 7 pods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we got 1, which has Garuru in it. We have 2, which has Basha in it. 3 with Dolga. And 4 with the Doran Booster are the main ones I keep in there. You can put the other figures in there if you want, but it's up to you. And I just leave the other 3 empty. Then, close this up. And now, take this little dragon on top. There's 7 directions this can go. So, the Polish front, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pretty much figured out. So let's say we want to summon the Basha Magnum. So you take the little dragon, line him up, push him down. Now, for this, I'm going to take you inside of Castle Doran. So you take this little, there's a little dial up here, you wheel this down. See how there's a chandelier? The chandelier picks up the Doran pod. It brings it up to the top. Then you push this forward, right here. Okay, we'll get out of Castle Doran now. You pull this, you'll hear it drop into Castle Doran's mouth. Then you pull this down, bring it up, like that. Click that down, open his mouth, and with all your might, flick this pod out. Let's try that again. That's the main gimmick of this toy that it sacrifices a lot for. Unfortunately, even on a hard surface, I mean, I only tried this on carpeting before, this does not crack open. It would have been kind of cool, because you know how he shoots the... See, he shoots like the Basha Magnum out. I'm proving you that the Basha Magnum's in here. Like he shoots it out. It would have been cool if this thing would hit the ground, explode, and then he'd be like, oh, look, Basha Magnum. So, yeah. Kind of a lackluster gimmick, unfortunately. But this is all improved with sound effects. Now, all you gotta do to reset the gimmick, close his mouth, click that back, you hold down these 2 tabs, his neck slides down, you push his head down as you go, locks in place. Now, I'm gonna not reload. Reloading is simple as loading. Now, if you turn the sound effects on, you get this noise. He's snoring, okay? Then, let's load up the gimmick. Let's go with Garuru Saber this time. So, we'll bring the little chandelier down, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Bring it forward, click it in place. Then, this, I'm saving you the trouble of listening to his snoring for a while. So, he's snoring, and then you pull his neck up. That's pretty intense for a sound effect, I gotta say. I'll play that one more time because it's kind of cool. kind of like you woke him up and he's shooting you. So anyways, you know, same deal. I mean, the sound effects, that's where they basically end. And that's about it. So, yeah, that's cool. Now, there's one last gimmick that I gotta demonstrate. Something that Bandai's been doing since the 90s. When you roll him along, his little feet move like he's walking. It's adorable. It's actually really cool. So, yeah, quite the complicated gimmick, I gotta say. It's complicated, but it does slightly pay off. I mean, slightly. But yeah, that is Castle Doran's gimmick. Now, for the Revolgarry's gimmick, let's open up this compartment, bring this out, pull this forward. Take double, there's these little tabs, you'll line them up. He goes inside, and here's the whole gimmick of the toy. You shove that in there, pull it out, and now you've got the hard-boileder start dash mode. And that looks pretty freaking cool. So the whole gimmick, if you couldn't tell, is you swap out the back vehicle parts. Now what's cool about this is that you can actually pop this off, and now you've got just the hard-boileder. It's lacking paint, but you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It is cheaper, I think, in the end to get these than trying to track down all the exclusive Figure Arts connection parts. But yeah, and then in order to switch, you just pull this little lever, pull them back out. Then you turn the dial. Now, this thing does not provide its own sound effects. You have to get that yourself. And by get that yourself, I mean Gaia memories. We're going to use this Candy Toy double memory that I customized. Put it in the back here. We'll unclick the dial. And then when we get... unclick the dial. And it's not in there. Hold on. Okay, it's in there now. And then when we turn the dial to the turbular... So you get that, which is cool. I see no need for it, but that is cool that they did incorporate the Gaia memory gimmick. And then, all I gotta do for this is fold down the wings, flip the tire, and now you've got Hod Tabula. So, I'm quoting Mr. S in that pronunciation. You got a nice little 2 up there, which is something I never noticed before. It's got a rocket thruster, so you can go like... If you had one of those HDM DKs, you could throw it up there too, I think. Yeah, you could probably put it on the wing. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Let's reset the gimmick. Put it in, pull it out, turn, pull out again, flip the tire, flip the turbular or splasher stuff, and there you have the hard splasher. There's a 3 right there. And you know what? It looks pretty neat. I mean, it's a boat. It's a boat with a motorcycle. Now they did give wheels, so you can still roll it. Same with the hard turbular. There is wheels to roll. I don't think I need to demonstrate that. But yeah. But overall, it's a simple gimmick, but it's a pretty neat one, and it's fun for hours. I say this because it's entertained me for hours before. And on top of all that, everything in store inside the Revolgarry in one nice little package. Who gets points for the better gimmick? Castle Doran has many gimmicks. It's got missile launchers, wheels, sound effects, built-in sound effects, and places to store the figures. Revolgarry has one gimmick, and you can enhance it with a Gaia memory. So, which is better? Point goes to the Revolgarry. Castle Doran's gimmick is just too complicated. You have to wheel a little chandelier down, pick it up, bring it back up, put it in his neck, so it drops down to his mouth, pull the neck up, and then you have to flick it out, and half the time it doesn't work. Revolgarry, pull in, pull out, turn dial, push in, pull out, you got a new vehicle. Revolgarry may only have one gimmick, but it's a better one than Castle Doran's. So it's Revolgarry 4, Castle Doran 1. And now onto the final category. Add-on kits. Now, Castle Doran had two add-on kits. There was the Doran, which is a little tiny dragon. I don't really think you remember him because he was barely in the show. And there was the powered Ixa, which was Ixa's vehicle that was more screen time than Doran, but not very memorable. They were both available during the run of Kiva. Doran and powered Ixa both sold out at Hobby Link Japan before this guy did. Sad because I think this guy's the better toy of the three. But I still want the other two because they're minifigures. But they did have ability to compatibility gimmick. As you can see, I have my minifigures in here. You can plug them onto here and they would press this button down, getting this sound. And that's it. There's a little button here. Now, even when you have it pressed down, it doesn't do anything, so it's probably a scrapped gimmick. But that's cool, I think. Yeah, it's just kind of like the same sound for both add-on kits. Now, the Revolgarry had quite the interesting add-on kit. And the fact that, well, it works as the secondary rider. Kamen Rider Axel has a bike form, as many of you know. If you don't, he can turn into a motorcycle. It's kind of silly, but whatever, it works. So, you get Kamen Rider Axel in bike form. Now, in the show, he had a little upgrade he got from Shroud. Meet Gunner A, everyone's favorite Wally lookalike, aside from Burger Meal. This guy showed up a couple times. He tried to stop weather and failed, and he was there a few times. I mean, he was there, he did stuff. He was cool. Now, clever little note here, aside from looking like Wally, he's got a 4. There's an A that also looks like a 4, and it's tilted. You're clever, Bandai. Anyways, he has articulation. You can move his little hands up and down, and his head can move around on a ratchety joint, which is cool. The Axel bike has a landing extra additional wheel support there that flips down. Now, this toy is cooler than Doran because it actually can function on its own. Flip up these little things here. Ow. Stupid paper cut. Close up the cannon. He's all ready to go. Flip up Axel. Let's not think about the fact that that's Axel's bum. And you got the Axel Gunner in completed form. So that's all cool. You can flip that little wheel up. And it rolls. So that's neat. And it can work with the Revolgarry. It works with the Revolgarry. So, flip these open like this. We're going to have some fun with the Revolgarry. So opening it into base mode, we'll take out Mr. Double. We're going to take them all out. We're going to put this guy in by having all that folded up. Put him in, lock and load. You can get the combination that was used by Ryu Tedori when his legs were broken. The Axel Tubular, so he can fly. Because his legs are broken, so it's not like he could drive. So, he just took the Revolgarry and flew in it. Which I gotta say is pretty neat. You can do some other combinations if you'd like. You can, of course, do the Axel Splasher that never appeared in the show, by the way. It's possible, though. You can do it. Oh, this video is running long. I'm trying to hurry up. And then, of course, you can... Let's take Axel and the Tubular. Okay. Coming out of here. Then you can take Double here, and you can make the Hard Gunner that actually did appear on the show when Double had to fight the Quetzalcoatl Dopant. He used it with Extreme to fly in the air with a shield. So you do get the Hard Gunner, which is awesome. Then you can take Axel. Take Double out. take Axel, who's still attached to the tubular unit, pull it out, and you can finally have the quite epic Axel Boilder, which is like a giant drag racer with jet engines on the back. Or you'd have the regular version. I think this one looks cool. I'm sad it never got used in the show, because that actually looks pretty neat. And he probably could go really, really fast, maybe breaking his legs in the process. Who knows? But that is certainly a cool little upgrade, and it does a lot more with the Revolgarry by adding up all these combinations that were not even in the show, but they still look cool. And they probably could have been done in the show if the show decided to do it. But yeah, Axel Gunner's a win. So in terms of add-on kits, who wins? It's obviously Double. Yes, they both combine with their add-on kits, but Doubles gives you 4 new combinations to try out. Castle Doran gives you 1 noise, and he had 2 add-on kits. So the point goes to the Revolgarry. The final score is 5 points Revolgarry, 1 point Castle Doran. Sorry, Castle Doran, you lost the Battle of the Giant Rider Mechs. But then again, this was 2008, this was 2009. So, let's go to the final thoughts on the items alone. So, Castle Doran may not be the best rider toy ever. It may have a really overcomplicated gimmick, but it has some really nice minifigures, and it overall looks kind of impressive, especially when you got the minifigures loaded up onto the castle itself. And you can get them for about $13 on HLJ.com. I would say for $13, this guy's worth it if you can get it bundled with some other expensive shipping item, but it's kind of hard to recommend because it really isn't that great, unfortunately. It looks really nice. Well, it looks nice, but the gimmick is just so complicated, it's not really fun. This guy's probably going to go up on the shelf. He's going to hang out with, you know, the Kiva minifigures he came with. Maybe he'll hang out with the Revolgarry. I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. It's unfortunate that he costs so much in shipping, because $13 is a great price. That's how much I paid for mine, and luckily I had a flat rate shipping deal. Castle Doran, I'm sorry to say, you're a cool toy, but you're not the greatest toy. It's unfortunate, but they kind of took a year off for Kiva's toys anyways. They kind of focused on the belts, but everything else kind of suffered a little bit. But yeah, Battle Dragon series, DX Castle Doran. If you can get it shipped with something else, then totally recommended. But otherwise, it's probably an easy pass. Unfortunately, this guy's probably going to be in stock for a couple more years. I'm sorry, Castle Doran. He's a nice little pet. He's a neat little pet to have. But if you like to look at him, if you want 10 cool Kiva minifigures, totally buy him. He's definitely worth it for that. But yeah. So what about the Revolgarry? The Revolgarry is fan-freaking-tastic. If you are a Kamen Rider Double fan, you need to buy this for yourself at some time. They don't go for very much on sites like Mandarake. Sold out at most retail sites, but this toy is just awesome. Because we're probably not going to get a figure arts version, considering that thing was gigantic. This is the next best thing. It's the actually only option to get a real full-functioning Revolgarry. And this is a fun toy. If you're already a Kamen Rider Double fan, if you're just a Kamen Rider fan in general, want some cool motorcycles to play with, this is the toy to get. I've seen them go for about $40 before shipping. $40 plus the shipping is going to cost you $100 at max. And while for some people it may not be worth it, but for me, I think it was totally worth it. If you can get this with the Axel Gunner booster kit, totally get it. This is 2 toys, just make this thing whole perfect. I've had this toy for over a year, and I still think it's a lot of fun. I have not got bored playing with it. Yeah, the dust may show that it's been sitting on a shelf for a while, but it has kind of been sitting off in the corner, waiting to be reviewed for a year. I'm sorry I didn't review this sooner. But yeah, the Revolgarry is a superior toy. Maybe because it was made a year later, but this is one cool toy. I love this toy. It's one of my favorites in my collection of stuff. So definitely recommended. Definitely recommended. So I hope you enjoyed the first installment of Battle of the Giant Rider Mechs. If I do get a hold of a DX Denliner and Power Dizer, I might have to do a video on those two. Just in the same vein as this one. But overall, I've given my thoughts plenty of times. But be sure to check out Riders, Rangers, and Rambles for Toku news and more in the craziest way possible. Be sure to check out Toku Rip Theater, where we make fun of Japanese television. But in a tasteful way. And Telex is out saying goodbye.